Pierre, man, I'm a little upset, Pierre. They're adding me to these basketball group chats. I don't want to be a
Okay.
part of them. How do we get out of these group chats? Can you escape the group chats these days? And how do you feel about group chats in general?
I love group chats. I love the right group chats. The right group chats. How do you escape a group chat? Don't reply because there's no pressure. Now, when Combo texts me one on one, there's pressure because there's a respect level that you have for your friend, especially when they reach out. So you want to make sure that you reply, and you kind of have to. It's just your duty if there's a friendship there. Now, in a group chat, when there's 5 individuals,
Or more?
there's no pressure. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, especially a guy like you, every time I look up, you're doing something. You're talking to somebody sitting down. So you have the excuse of being able to say, I'm on the run. I didn't get a chance to see that. And you also have the excuse of being able to block out. Like there's certain text threads that you leave the communication on, and then there's some that you can mute, so you won't even get the notification that the group chat is going off.
That's
So,
fair. That's how you do it.
not for all of them, but for some of them, yeah. Some of them it gets so crazy where you have to kind of silence the group chat because you'll be at work and your phone will just go and go and go and go and go. But if I'm ever in a group chat that I don't want to be in, I don't reply.
Hey, Pierre, and I'm not the only one that's upset. Pistons fans are actually upset. They're complaining about the foul baiting, the Josh Hart no call in the corner. What are your thoughts on that, and what are your biggest takeaways from the series?
My biggest takeaway is the NBA, the fans of the NBA. The Knicks are just that team that people don't like and they root against, which is nothing new for our Knicks fans. We understand that, but what I keep trying to tell people is like you have what you hope for, and then you have the reality. The reality is a lot of people talk crazy to Knicks fans because we can't beat the best teams. You know what I mean? We couldn't really hold our own against OKC and Boston and Cleveland, but that's an echelon that nobody can really compete with. Yeah, we had a crazy record in the regular season, but that doesn't reflect how you should position us against the Detroit Pistons of the world and whatnot. And by the way, as a Knicks fan, I have the utmost respect for the Detroit Pistons. I felt like they had a really great year. Any basketball fan has to celebrate and give flowers to the turnaround that they've had. And you as well as anybody know, I love me some Cade Cunningham. You know what I mean? We talked about that draft class in depthly for a long time. You was big on Scotty Barnes, the rookie of the year from that class. We had a bunch of different conversations with my dad about Jalen Suggs. My dad called me a couple months ago. He loves Jalen Suggs now. So to see Cade doing what he's doing, even if it's against my team, I love. But the series has been great. To answer your question, I think the series is good for basketball. There's a lot of physicality. It reminds you of old school basketball. They're letting the guys play. The Tim Hardaway Jr. play, it happens. I don't know what Piston fans want Knicks fans to say. It's nothing I can do. I can't change anything that happened. I'm damn sure not going to be upset. My team won. And I don't think Piston fans would care if it was the other way. That's just the way that the game is. If we got fouled on that play, if it was Josh Hart shooting that and Tim Hardaway Jr. quote unquote fouled them or made illegal contact and they didn't call it and the Pistons would have won, I don't think a Pistons fan would be here, consoling me or rubbing me on my back saying, hey, no, they would be happy that they won. So that's basketball. Me and you have been watching for 20 plus years, even maybe longer. We understand that's how it goes. And there's nothing I can do or say to change anything.
Yeah, for those that watch you on ESPN and on Enjoy, I don't think they really realize how big of a Knicks fan you are unless they're one of the day ones.
Mm-hmm.
For you, what is an acceptable outcome for this postseason when it comes to the Knicks?
It's to do this right here. What my biggest thing was, we're not better than the Cavs or the Celtics yet. The goal is to continue to progress and get to that level. And I feel like the Knicks have been doing that. They've slowly kind of progressed. They took the swings on McHale. They got Cat. That's what you want as a fan, to see your team try. And I wanted to make sure that we were going to handle business against the Pistons. A lot of people picked against us. Part of that is like what I said earlier. People just don't like the Knicks. But I think also people really kind of looked at us weirdly, and they did try to convince themselves that a team like the Pistons could actually beat us. So it was important for me to make sure that we handle whoever we were going to play in the first round. And now in this next round, potentially, because we still got a game to win, you want to be able to show something more than what we saw in the regular season. So if you go against the Celtics, I believe we would play the Celtics in the second round.
Mm-hmm.
You want to make sure that you compete and you give yourself a chance. I don't think anybody in the world is going to pick the Knicks over the Celtics unless you're just a biased Knicks fan. But the Knicks have to show themselves and the fans in the basketball world that, hey, we're not as good as them and we're not better, but we're getting closer and closer and closer. Because the Celtics, they had an all-time season last year. They're the reigning champs. They're one of the best constructed, starting lineups that we've seen in a very long time. So to not be able to beat them isn't something that you should be ashamed of. But you definitely, as a team that was a 3 seed, as expensive as the Knicks are, the investments that they've made, you damn sure don't want to go in there and get swept. You don't want to be getting, we don't want to see game 1 you lost by 25 points. You know what I mean? That's what you don't want to see. So, you just want to go out there and compete and show some type of fight and show something that you can build on to eventually become the better team.
The Celtics seem like such a complete team, but do you see any kind of kryptonite when we're looking ahead? I know the Pistons series is not over yet, but if you do look ahead at that Knicks versus Celtics matchup.
Well, right now the kryptonite is like the health for them. It feels like everybody has something going on. The luxury over their run for the last couple of years is they've relatively been healthy. You know what I mean? Besides Porzingis. But this year, Drew Holiday has missed some time. Jason Tatum has missed a game. Brown missed a lot of games towards the end of the season and kind of had a tough fall with the Cole Anthony play in this series. And Porzingis has always been a guy who has kind of missed time for them here and there. And then Al Horford is getting older. So I would just say them being healthy. You know what I mean? It's a lot of mileage on those bodies, a lot of older guys like the Horfords and Drew Holidays. And then there's a lot of winning players, right? Jalen Brown, Jason Tatum are younger, but they've been winning and having playoff runs since the start of their careers. This is a team that is constantly going second round, conference finals, championship. These are Jason Tatum played USA basketball. You know what I mean? So it's a lot of wear and tear on the bodies. But other than that, there's nothing much you can say besides sometimes they stoop down to the level of competition. But they don't do that against the Knicks. It's Madison Square Garden. You know what I'm saying? Like they don't stoop down against the Knicks, man. They always are ready to play against some of the Orlando Magic type teams. They could get very jump shot heavy and then say, we'll play serious in the fourth quarter. They never have the attitude against the Knicks. Like that's the gift and the curse of Madison Square Garden, where it's such an incredible place to play home games and have that crowd. But then every road team is coming in like, oh, I'm ready to play in Madison Square Garden. So the Celtics are as complete as it gets, though.
When I watch Orlando play, I think 2 ways they could get better is obviously they're losing the math game, and then Paolo and Franz don't play off each other well enough. And when I'm thinking actually about the Celtics, I think if you could get, as great as they are, Jalen and Jason to play more one-on-one basketball and less penetrate and kick and get open threes, I think that could be like a slight kryptonite for them.
Against the right team. I think something like that could come about in like a Eastern Conference Finals where they played against like the Cavs. The problem with the Knicks all season long that we ran into is we can't stop the drive and kick because Cat is challenged defensively to be out there on the perimeter. He's shown some progression and a little bit better in this Pistons series because he's coming up a little bit to meet Cade Cunningham and not allow Cade Cunningham to get too comfortable. But even in some of these games, I think that first game in game 1 that we luckily won, because I'm always scared when shooters go off. I think Tim Hardaway Jr. and Malik Beasley combined went 9 of 20 from 3. So those two almost made, half the team threes. And we still won, but again, that's they're not even as prolific of a 3-point shooting team as Boston. But because you couldn't stop Cade Cunningham from getting to the paint, he was able to drive, kick, and that ball got moving around. For whatever reason, in some of the early games, we played drop coverage, and Tatum is coming off that pick and roll, stepping right into a comfortable 3-point shot because Cat is dropping. We just don't have, at times, for whatever reason, enough to stay in front of people. You would think with OG, Mikal, even Josh Hart, we could limit it, but the pick and roll is something that's tough for us because, as good as Cat is, he's not a creative player. He has to have some weakness, and a little bit can be in that pick and roll defense against some of those elite ball handlers. And then again, Boston, you can play. I've seen the Magic are a great defensive team, and they're a great example. the Magic are doing as good of a job as they can, and sometimes they're still giving up 3-point shots because the Celtics have a formula that is almost picture perfect to the personnel. And I think a lot of times in basketball, you don't have that luxury. You know what I mean? Like, they legitimately have a scheme that they want, and they were able to build a roster that mimics that. Horford can shoot threes. Porzingis can shoot threes. Peyton Pritchard comes off the bench and is shooting 8-9 threes a game. Jalen Brown will shoot them. Tatum shoots 10 a game. Derek White is prolific. Drew Holiday can shoot him off the catch. The worst three-point shooter is Jalen Brown, and he's as prolific as it gets as a driver. So, I mean, yeah, you got to kind of pick your poison with them.
Crazy finish for the Knicks game, but even a crazier finish for Denver versus Clippers. And what gets lost in all of it was the footwork that Jokic had against Zubac. When I watched that play, Pierre, it brought me back to, like, what greatness is. I'm like, oh, like, when you see it, you see it. Like, no matter what Zubac did on that play, like, there was nothing he could have done, right? It kind of brings me back to, like, Steph in the gold medal game versus in the gold medal game of the Olympics. But with that said, do you think...
Was that against France?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. That was crazy, bro. I was in
Yes.
Paris for that. I was actually at Team USA House, and I'm watching
Look at this dude. Look
Yeah,
at this dude.
yeah, come on, man. Come on, man. But with that said, should that Aaron Gordon dunk count?
I've seen it a bunch of different ways. In real time, I definitely thought we was going to overtime. I think Jokic thought the same thing. You could tell by his reaction. It wasn't like, hey, we just won. It was more like, let me walk to this bench and get some rest real quick because we got another 5 minutes to go.
Did you see it? Did you see his reaction? He's like, I thought this was going to be bad when they asked him what was going through his mind when he went to the Somborg shuffle. And
When you watch him walk off the court, he's the only one that ain't celebrating. So that's kind of what I did. He ain't lying. That's what I got from him as well. Should it have counted? Yeah, but then I saw a picture the other day, and it looked like the fingertips are still on the ball. I don't know. I'm glad it did because this is one of my favorite series. I rank this as my number one series going into the playoffs, and it's lived up to the hype. The Clippers look really, really good. This could have easily been over by now, if we just being honest. I love the way that the Clippers are playing, and what I love most about it is it gives another wrinkle to the playoffs. Because you have OKC and how good they are. You have the storyline of the Warriors emerging after acquiring Jimmy Butler. You have Luka and LeBron who are down 3-1 as well. And then out of nowhere, it's like, boom, you got a healthy Kawhi who could, like, shuffle things up. And then you have the best player in the world in Jokic. So it's just so many moving pieces and moving parts to the playoffs that was already kind of bubbling. And I'm going to be honest with you. I'm rooting for the Clippers. I think healthy Kawhi is always a sight to see. And because we haven't been able to get it over the last few years, I want to take advantage of being able to see it maximize while we have it. I'm trying to be appreciative because the last few times, man, we seem like we getting something special, and then he's out. So while we have him, I'm trying to get the full show and see if he can have another run.
It's kind of fluky and glitchy that he could get back to this level after all that time off and after those injuries.
No, like him and Harden, I'm loving because we have to start to adapt and change our perspective because a guy like Harden shouldn't be having like this crazy career playoff run at this point. Remember, he's supposed to be a playoff dropper. He's supposed to be a guy you can't rely on. And, when he said, I'm the system, everybody was like, oh, man, he's lost. He ain't, he has no self-reflection. He's not being honest with himself. And he came in, he held the team down while Kawhi was getting healthy. They lost Paul George. It seemed like it was going to be a down year for them, and they've lived up to it. And now Harden is playing some of the best playoff basketball we've seen from him, arguably in his career. I know that sounds crazy, but a lot of people talk about Harden in like this choking way because those Houston Rocket teams couldn't eclipse the 72 or 73 win Warrior team that went out and added Kevin Durant. But I'm loving the way Harden is looking at this. This is supposed to be the back end of his career. He's supposed to drop the production, and he's looking good and good. And then the emergence of Zubac, Norman Powell, they're well coached defensively with Ty Lue, Derrick Jones Jr., Chris Dunn, Nicholas Batum is still no dip three. Like, I love the Clippers, man. I like the Clippers. Ben Simmons.
Hey, Ben Simmons. We've been Ben Simmons enthusiasts for years, P.
Yes.
We might need to let that go soon, but it would be cool to see him with a chip.
No, that would be dope. No, real talk. If we couldn't get what we was hoping for, it would be good to still see a chip or a little playoff run.
It's interesting you say that about Harden when it comes to his impact, because obviously he's not the same athlete as so-called Prime Harden, and he doesn't score like Prime Harden, but the game management balance with the scoring has been really incredible this year.
That's, to me, always been the most underrated part about his game. You know what I mean? The scoring numbers and the highlights of stepping back, that's all cool, but I feel like he's always been an underrated player. I think his pace has been underrated. And I think his ability to allow himself to get what he wants. Basketball, when you strip everything down, no matter the error, no matter the trends or analytics or whatever, it's about really trying to do what you want to do. The great players know where they want to go. They get to where they want to go, and they're able to make something happen. And I just love how you can't speed Harden up. You can't out-physical him. You can't outthink him. And you know where he wants to go. You know what hand he wants to use. You know his go-to move, and you can't stop it. And I think that's the beauty of watching elite players, especially as they age. As you just said, even the guys who we don't deem as athletic, gifted people, they still decline. You know what I mean? Even so, if you already weren't like this crazy athlete, then you get older. So now the athleticism that you did have take a step back, and now we're able to see the thought process of the game and how you can manipulate the pick and roll, and you could use some of that scoring bag still to your advantage, even though you're not that 30-point game scorer that you once was. And we're seeing that with him. We're seeing that with LeBron. We're seeing that with the Golden State Warriors, who are a veteran team that has minimal surrounding pieces kind of for the first time, but they're still able to manipulate and get exactly what they want without Steph having to force up shot. I'm so impressed when I watch the Warriors, because there's times where that young Rockets team, they get all in their face, they get an early lead, and the Warriors, they stay poised. Steph Curry does not go in panic mode. He doesn't start chucking 15, 17 three-point attempts, and they find a way to prevail. I don't know if they're going to do that for the rest of the series. I don't know, the Jimmy Butler thing, but it's still an appreciation I have when I watch them about just being poised. It's easy in the playoffs to get rattled on the road. You look up and you down 13 points. You got role players hitting crazy shots, and the morale goes never works with the Warriors. They always are willing to understand it's 4 quarters in a game, and at any moment they can get hot.
Staying on Harden for a second, I wanted to hear your thoughts on this, because if Cleveland could somehow make it out the East and the Clippers could make it out the West, I see a world where James Harden could actually win Finals MVP as great as Kawhi is. What would a Finals MVP and a championship mean for Harden's legacy?
A Finals MVP for James Harden. Well, just the Finals alone kind of, I think, established him. But now you add in the Finals MVP. I've never even thought of James Harden winning Finals MVP.
Because with Garland and Donovan actually could be a great defender if he wanted to. Sorry. Yeah, Donovan could actually be a great defender if he wanted to. Garland, not as much. But I think it would be tough for them to stay in front of Harden,
No, it will be. The best thing about them is they do try. I think that's all you can ask for, and then they do have the big 7-footers behind them.
Sometimes I see Donovan playing like really elite, great defense, and then sometimes it's just like good,
No, for sure. Maybe that's because of the offensive tax, right?
Yeah, 100%.
He's already an undersized 2. You're getting the best defender on you each and every night.
Right,
so,
right.
And then Garland, he at least tries, because he's 6'1" on a good day. He's already behind the 8 ball there, but
he's already a guy who critiques other people's defense.
That hilarious, and then didn't play. Garland's my dog. I like Garland, but you got to play after you talking like that. Harden and Finals MVP, he's definitely solidifies itself as he might get number 3. I think the conversations had closed. I think it was like Jordan, Kobe,
Jerry West.
I look at Jerry West as a point.
No way. By the way, you interviewed him, right? Didn't you?
No, I met him. I didn't interview him.
Oh, you met him. Okay.
I met
Adam Silver recently.
Adam Silver, yes. Rest in peace to Jerry West. I met Jerry West, and he asked me what team I was on.
Okay. Well, he interviewed you. That's even crazier.
He thought I was a player. It was Vegas. It was Summer League, and we was in the same hotel. And I was like, Mr. West, like, can I get a picture with you, whatever? He's like, of course. And then he was like, did I see you playing last night? What team you play for? And I was like, man, I know I'm tall, but I wish I was on one of these teams. I'm not. If you could pull some strings and give me a little 10-day, I ain't gonna turn it down.
I'm still looking for a 10-day, P. So I'm in the gym, P.
I'll take a 10-day. But yeah, rest in peace to Jerry West. I look at him as a point guard.
Okay.
You actually the first person I've heard categorize him as a 2.
Yeah. We've been actually arguing about the Steph Curry point guard thing for years, P. And I just had a post about it because I was like, greatest point guard not named Magic. Then my co-host said Steph Curry, and then I go with he's not a point guard though.
Yeah,
and that's just good content, bro. That's just
the people are definitely gonna react every time to it.
Yeah, it's a fact
every time.
But let's stay here though. You mentioned Jerry West, so let's shift to the Lakers. Are the Lakers finished?
I think so. Yeah, I do. I'm disappointed in myself because we were making our predictions or whatever. They're finished as far as the series go. They still have tremendous upside for next season. They're going to be able to fine tune his roster. But
Nico set them up for sure.
Yeah, they good for a while. I picked the Lakers in this series because LeBron and Luka. And the conversation I was having on the podcast is, I knew that the Timberwolves had a better team, and I wanted to pick the Timberwolves, but I went with the talent. I think we're progressing into an era of the NBA where just the talent isn't enough anymore. And that goes back to a conversation that I've had, kind of like your Steph, not a point guard conversation, is the role players. We're in a day and age where you can get like these high quality, high standard role players. There's all-star level players that I look at as role players. You know what I mean? If you're not the face, if you're not the guy, then you're there to complement the guy and essentially serve a role to, be complimentary to that star player. So we have a lot of high-end. We got role players on the Knicks like OG Anunoby making $40-some million. Role players are at a new standard today, and I think you need that in a complementary team more than just having this surplus of talent. The talent can only get you so far, but you need though, and I think Minnesota checks those boxes way better than the Lakers do.
Speaking of that, is this the best version of Randle that we've seen?
Yes and no. The best version of Randle is that most improved All-NBA season with the Knicks. Now, this is my other point, though. That was fool's gold Randle. Because that Randle is not a Randle that teams are going to invest in because it can only get you so far. This Minnesota Timberwolves Randle is the best Randle for himself because this is the Randle that a team will give you a 4-year extension on, and you can find your role and be in. Like, this is the best case scenario for him, where he's playing next to a number one, because as good as Julius Randle is, nobody's looking at him to be a number. If he's your number one, your team is probably in trouble, like those Knicks teams used to be. He's not the greatest defender, but that's okay because we got Rudy Gobert, a Defensive Player of the Year candidate year in, year out, behind you. Aside of you, we have Jaden McDaniels, an all-defensive wing. We have Mike Conley, but you, Julius Randle, have a skill set where you could be a secondary ball handler. Anthony Edwards will get trapped. You can be a short roll decision maker and be able to play in that mid post. And when they trap him, you right there to slip. You got a mid-range jumper. You drive to the basket like you've been doing against the Lakers. He's knocking down three-point shots. He's capable enough to make those corner passes to Nikhil and Dante. We even have a backup stretch 4, stretch 5, and Naz Reid, who we can 5 out Julius Randle. And now you can really have it your way. This is by far, to me, the best fit for him. And I'm glad he bought into it because I think this is the exact type of team that allows him to be the best player that he can be and win and have somebody invest into him. Because when you saw the Knicks teams with him, it was like Julius Randle was playing good, but how far can the Knicks go with him being the best player? And then you saw we got Brunson, and then he still kind of felt he was that guy, and then Brunson fully took it over. Then he kind of lost his footing and how he was going to play. This, I think, is really good for him.
And I also think it's a great matchup for Minnesota and one of the worst matchups for the Lakers because you obviously talked about Luka and LeBron's talent. But Julius Randle is not afraid of physicality with those two players. And when LeBron and Luka can't beat you with the skill, which is rare, they're going to go to bully ball a little bit. And they're not bullying Randle like they go bully some of the other players around the league.
That was the biggest thing. And I love the way that they've handled it defensively. They did the best job was in game 1, in my opinion, where they were like, hey, Luka is going to be Luka. He's going to make shots. He's going to score. So is LeBron. These are two of the best players in the game right now. and two of the best talents of all time, arguably. And it was like, let them do them, but the rest of these guys ain't about to really go off. And Minnesota had the opposite thing, where it's like Anthony Edwards got everybody involved. Nas Reed is making threes, Conley making threes, Randle making threes, and then now it's like we can have our way. So I love that perspective, where it's kind of like we focus on LeBron and Luka, but we're focused on them to a minimum. We're not going to send 4 or 5 guys, and now you got Gabe Vincent open, Dorian Finney-Smith open. Because if Dorian Finney-Smith is hitting 3 or 4 threes, if Gabe Vincent is giving you 3 threes, if Rui Hachimura is hitting 3 or 4 threes, the Lakers are going to be super, super tough to beat. But because, the Minnesota is only like, hey, we'll let Luka rock out. He's not going to score 95 points himself and beat us, so let him do him. But, that first game, I think Luka had like 36, 1 assist in 5 turns. When do you see Luka with 1 assist? But the bounce back games for the Lakers, Luka and LeBron were scoring, dishing, getting guys involved. That's how they want to play, and that's when they get going. I think it's been good that they've just kind of allowed them to be scorers for the most part, and then not allow them to pick you apart. Because, when LeBron is able to be in quarterback mode, he started feeling himself, and now he's hitting his threes. And that once he's hitting his threes, and the Dorian Finney-Smith is hitting threes, it's good luck. It's good luck.
Earlier in the conversation, you were reflecting on our Anthony Edwards draft conversations, and for a long time now, he's had elite athleticism, elite skill level. But I think what's different now is he's able to react on the fly and think on the fly at a higher level. What have you noticed about his game, and is he ready to be the face of the NBA?
Yeah, the main thing that I've noticed is his ability to not shy away from, number one, the moments, and to not be afraid to grow. Number one thing, I don't know if you remember, but when Anthony Edwards was coming in, I was unsure if he was going to be, because it was 2 paths. It was like this Dwayne Wade kind of player, or it was like a Deion Waiters. You know what I mean? Where it's like you're just getting up a bunch of shots and you can score, but it might not materialize to anything. And I just think that he's been able to take on these challenges, and it's helped him grow, right? So when people have feedback and criticism, I think a lot of players in the NBA, especially in today's game, they kind of get sensitive about it. Anthony Edwards hears it, and he's like, "Oh, okay, that's something I can work on."
I want to prove you, and I want to prove you wrong.
And I want to prove you wrong.
You saw that with the 3-point shooting this year.
Boom.
Yeah.
He got the 3-point shooting. He did it this year. Then what happens with this new team, because there's no cat? Now he's starting to see a lot of blitzes. A lot of teams are trying to take him out, and they're going to make Jaden McDaniels beat him or Julius Randle beat him. And then he said, okay, so now how can I process this? And this is real changes in the middle of a season he talked about. He's watching film. He's watching how Luka and all of these different guys, same thing with the shooting. He's talking to Steph. And so to be able to do it in real time, it just speaks to his work. It speaks to his ability to take criticism, and how open-minded he is with his game. And so that was something that I didn't know when he was coming into the draft, because all I knew about him was that he was just getting buckets. He didn't win much in high school. He didn't win much in college. And it was like, okay, I see the tools, and there's 2 avenues. This is going to be superstardom, or it's going to be really good player who gives us some highlights and some moments, but never puts it all together. I'm so obviously happy that he put it all together, but I think even the people that thought he was going to put it all together, he's taking it to an even higher level. And it's very fast. It's happening very, very fast. And what he's doing is he's putting a lot of pressure on the other young guys, because there's no really excuse. Cade Cunningham, too. Cade Cunningham, this last year, they was having this discourse about Cade Cunningham and not being a good player. And now it's like, boom, and he's one of the best players in the league that fast. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Facts.
Paolo Banchero is leading the Magic team to 2 now playoff appearances in the first 3 years, and he's taking on the assignment of being the number 1 guy with a team that's very limited and production from the perimeter and things that would complement him, and he's still taking on that challenge. So these young players, they're setting a bar of growth, evolving, and fine-tuning their craft in real time. There used to be these, and I don't know if we should apply that to every prospect. Maybe these guys are just the best of the best, but there used to be a gelling period, or like a progression period where you would give a guy 5 years. But now, because of the internet, I think everybody wants that "what have you done for me lately?" And I think these guys success is only going to put pressure on the next generation. Because now when Cooper Flag comes into the league, we got to give Cooper Flag time. He's probably going to get drafted to a bad team. He's going to have to learn the game. He's going to have to develop. But they're going to be comparing him to the Palos, the Ants, the Wembies, the Cades. And it's like if a guy ain't doing the shit in the first 2 or 3 years, they write him off. And so I think we got to now find a balance that's healthy of what we should be expecting, because everybody ain't going to be doing what Cade and Anthony Edwards is doing.
Where would you like to see Cooper Flag land?
I wouldn't mind Washington.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they have a nice little thing that they're establishing out there. I like Bilal Coulibaly. I like what they did to the last draft with Sarr, Carrington, and George.
Sarr and Zach were actually a lot better than they were getting credit for this year.
Yes. Yeah. Zach who?
Ricochet.
Yes. I didn't know if you was talking about Zach in Memphis. But
Nah.
But yeah, they have been. I agree with you. They definitely have been. And I think Cooper Flag could go over there. And I just think it's good when talent goes with a nice timeline. They will all relatively be in the same type of age. And I think where they are in their rebuild, he would come in and fit perfectly. And the defensive upside for that team with the size, the length, could be dangerous. With Sarr, Flag, Coulibaly, that's like 6'8", 6'9" across the board, 7-foot wingspans everywhere, blocking shots, speed. They would be nice.
All these players are in different points of their career, but if you were starting a franchise, who would you build around? Cooper, Cade, SGA, Anthony Edwards.
Well, I'm going to go process of elimination. So the first name you said was Flag, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm removing Flag. He's too young right now. And those other guys have proved too much at the NBA level to take him. I think anybody taking him is just like the fan. They loving what it could be. These other guys are showing it what it really is versus what it could. So just off that, I'm going to remove him. Then you said SGA.
Yep.
Cade, and Paolo.
I didn't mention Paolo, but you could put him in there. No Wemby. He's different to me. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to probably go Anthony Edwards.
Okay.
And the reason I'm going to go Anthony Edwards, part of me wants to take Cade, but the reason I'm going to go Anthony Edwards is because of the adaptation we've seen. So he's taking the three-point shots. He's still a monster on the drives. He takes on the assignments. He's not scared of that. And so far, he lives up to moments. Yesterday, they go into the fourth quarter. They're down, 10, 94-84. And he scores 11 points to start the fourth quarter in 4 or 5 minutes. 3, midi, 3. This is all he does. All that, and it's 8:20 left on the clock. So he did all of that work in 4 minutes, and that's
the greatness thing I was talking about. That's kind of like what we're seeing there. Yeah.
So it's like I have to take that. You know what I mean? I got as good as Cade is playing against the Knicks, as great as SGA is. I'm taking that. I'm going Ant-Man.
Knicks fans been killing me for Cade over Brunson. They've been in my DMs.
You got Cade over Brunson in what world? Potential-wise?
No, he's just better.
At what?
Well, he's better at defense. He's a better playmaker. He's bigger. He's not the scorer, but he's a great scorer. And I think he did more with less.
I ain't got nothing for those arguments. I think he's bigger, which makes him a better playmaker. And he definitely did do more with less. I have no argument with that because, no player wants to do more with less. I know if you told Cade Cunningham he could have the Knicks roster or the Pistons one, he would pick the Knicks one.
Well, do you look at that matchup with Boston a little bit differently? If you have Cade Cunningham there, you can't find a Brunson on defense.
Absolutely.
To go after.
Absolutely. So by default, Jalen Brunson. I can't knock Jalen Brunson because he got a better roster. You know what I'm saying?
100%.
I've seen Jalen Brunson with not as good of a roster as this one, and we still were. I think players. Jalen Brunson is so good. I think some of our players look better.
Okay. But OG and Mikal were better offensively when Brunson was out.
Yes, they were. But we see when the game is on the line, those dudes don't want the basketball. Mikal Bridges don't. It's a different pressure in a regular season playing against this team and that team without Jalen Brunson, and there's more shots in a regular season versus the playoffs, where Detroit is now saying, hey, Jalen Brunson is getting the ball. We're going to beat him. We're going to beat him the hell up. play him 94 feet. We give him everything. It's just different. And I don't think those guys want that assignment.
So what's your case for Brunson over Cade?
Oh, I just think right now, I think Cade Cunningham is on his way to being better. He's going to be way better. He's the number one pick, 6'7" point guard. He's going to be much better. But Jalen Brunson at 6 foot, if he's that, he might be 5'11". There's no answer for him. The dude went into the locker room yesterday and left the game and came back and gave you 15 in the fourth quarter.
Bro, I was thinking about this when I was watching that game. I'm like, if I'm a Pistons fan, I want to jump in the screen and do something. Like, I'd be mad. Like, it's crazy how good he is in the clutch. It's ridiculous. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Clutch player of the year.
It's crazy.
And when you add in the context, if we, I'm going to do what you did. You added some context in it. It's no knock against Cade because he can't control it. But, again, he's doing this at 6 foot. So as a 6 foot guard, the number one option, you have Asar Thompson's on you. Asar Thompson is a freak athlete. That's a guy that you would make on a video game. Him and his brother.
It's crazy that Asar is guarding Brunson and his brother is guarding Steph. It's like they found like a similar NBA role in their first round.
That is the same role on these two teams
crazy.
In the playoffs for the first time in years. Yeah. It is crazy. They just can't.
It kind of shows you that like
they're twins.
Well, that too, but like it's like a study. Like, you know, people like complain about politics.
Yeah.
But if you're this certain player, you're going to get to where you have to go and where you're supposed to go. Because they're very similar and they're in the exact same role, basically.
They are.
At this point. You know?
They are. And they both bought in. I mean, you're right. That's why it's kind of crazy when like people don't have success, because it's like you have so many blueprints that show you're this guy.
Yes.
You kind of have these tools, so you should maybe do this and that and you'll have some success. But yeah, I just think I think Jalen Brunson is on a different level of manipulating the game to his advantage. Every night, the Knicks are in a position to win for the most part with him because of what he can do. He knows his strengths. He knows his weaknesses. He knows what he can do and what he can't, and he sticks to it. And, I mean, that's just what it is for me. He may not be the playmaker, but that's because he said, I don't need to play make right now. I'm gonna put on my cape, and I just think at 6 foot being the number one option on the team, you don't see it. How many 6 foot number one options are there in the NBA?
How many 6 foot players? I mean, that size is going to be extinct very soon.
And then how many 6 foot guys is there leading the playoff team? Think about the 16 teams in the playoffs. Are any of the 16 teams in the playoffs led by anybody Jalen Brunson's size? The Knicks are the only one, right?
How many players are Jalen Brunson's size? I could think of like Davion Mitchell. Like, who's like his size?
Trae Young, Davion Mitchell.
Trae Young, yeah, Trae Young's special, man.
Chris Paul.
Yeah, not in the playoffs, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. Trae Young ain't in the playoffs either.
That's a fact.
And even Davion Mitchell is in the playoffs. He's not the guy.
That's what I'm
saying.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm going to the next level because there is no other guys, so I'm just trying to find players, period. Yeah,
so it's like, imagine if Fred VanVleet was an all-NBA player right now for the Rockets. But it don't happen because you're so limited. Jalen Brunson, like when we play against these teams, 6'7", if OG played for the Raptors, he would guard Jalen Brunson. And Jalen Brunson is delivering through that every single night. And so that's why I ultimately give him the edge right there. And he's the most clutch player in the NBA. Now, if you're asking me about the next 5 years, I'm taking Cade Cunningham, you know. But I think Jalen Brunson is a top 5 point guard in the league right now, maybe even higher. I'm just going 5 at the top of my head, but he may be even higher.
Speedy recovery to Dame. Why do you feel like the Giannis Dame experiment never really worked?
Well, number one, because we keep saying speedy recovery. Last year we didn't have Giannis in that first round. This year, we barely got Dame. And I'm going to be honest with you, Combo. One of the things that's kind of crazy to me about the NBA, and I've never been a GM, so I'm not trying to minimize the toughness and the challenges that come with the job. But I just kind of get mind blown with the construction of certain teams. And the Bucks is one of them. And I thought that they did some things. But then I watched the team, and I'm just kind of like baffled where it's like, there's just not a lot of good basketball around those two, if I'm just being honest with you. Last night I was watching, and I think Kevin Porter Jr. was leading the charge on a break. They had just got like a block shot or something like that. And he has Kuzma on the left. He has Giannis trailing him on the right. Where do you think the ball ends up?
Kuzma.
What guard isn't giving Giannis the basketball right there? How does the ball end up in Kuzma's hand when you have Giannis right here? And those are the plays with me where I'm just like, it's a small play, and I'm not saying that's why they lost the game.
He likes Kuzma's fits better.
Well, remember this year Kuzma said he chilling on the fits. He dialed it back.
That's fair.
But I watched those type of plays, and I'm just like, Taurean Prince, I think they said, hasn't scored a bucket in his series yet. It's just, I don't know, man. That's why though. That's why I think anywhere they could get some better talent, they look like a much different team.
Yeah.
Got to be healthy too.
All right, we're gonna end with the Mount Rushmore of Mount Rushmores. I'm gonna give you 4 Mount Rushmores.
Okay.
Mount Rushmore of Chicago hip hop.
So you have to go Chief Keef. This is why Chicago is incredible, because watch this. We go Chief Keef, then we're gonna go Lupe Fiasco. You see how contrastically different they are. Like, it's such a big contrast right there. Then we're gonna also have to go with let me make sure I think deep. So I went okay. Then we're gonna go Common, and then we're gonna go Kanye West. So we give you a little bit of everything. Kanye is still musically, well, I'm gonna say was. I haven't listened to any new Kanye in a long time, but
were they saying that AI was his latest album was AI? Did I hear that?
I heard that too. Yeah. I'm cool.
Yeah.
But his entire catalog, for what we know Kanye to be as a complete artist, and not the last 3 or 4 years or whatever, he's everything. He made beats, rap, pop songs, all of that. Then you got Chief Keef, the younger generation, the drill. Then you got Lupe, complete lyricist, and then the same thing with Common. Common kind of was like this hip hop lyricist as well. So you got a little bit of everything from Chicago. And we still got other people. You know, you got Twista rapping fast as hell. You know what I'm saying? King Louis. I don't know if you know.
Dirk? No Dirk?
You got Dirk.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd rather give Chief Keef the drill look. You know what I'm saying? And then,
you're trying to stay well-rounded on your Mount.
I wanted to stay well-rounded. Exactly. There you go.
Yeah. Okay. Mount Rushmore, New York hip hop.
Don't know if this one could be as well-rounded because New York is so big.
Bars.
Yes. And this is like okay, let's dial it back. Is this my Mount Rushmore, or am I doing it for like just it's a difference. It's who's the best and it's who's your favorite.
Like you're right. If it was my favorite, it'd be like Jadakiss, Fab.
Boom.
You know,
same names. Yeah. But if it ain't my favorite, then you got to show respect.
Yeah, you just show great. I actually believe that Jadakiss, nobody raps better than him. I've said this on shows before, but obviously with the catalogs, it doesn't add up to some of the greats.
That's always a great conversation in music. You have people who can we can go outside of rap. There's people who can sing better than another singer, but they may not have a better catalog. Is that them or the team around them that was built, or a little bit of both? For a singer or just an artist in general?
For a singer, like creating bodies of work, you know?
So what it is number one, it will be a team, but then you also have a person who is like, if you're more marketable, if you're just a bigger talent or a better face. If I'm a songwriter, if you wrote songs, Combo, you would probably want them to get to Beyonce, because if Beyonce performs it, no matter if you think she sings better or not, this person, that it's probably already platinum just because the name itself sells it. You might have a person over here who is you might feel like this person is a better singer than Beyonce, but Beyonce is going to take it further. The same thing with like somebody like Kanye or Drake. You might think Jadakiss is a better rapper than Kanye West, bar for bar.
I do, yeah.
But you know the name and the brand of Kanye West in his prime is going to make that song go way further. So that, that's the political route that is behind, however, who's ever running the show. So yeah, that's always a good music conversation. I hear it in rap. I hear it in producing. I hear it with singers. She has better songs, but her voice is better. He dances better than him, but he can't sing or make better songs. So it's rap. He has better songs, but bar for bar, he can't mess with us. But anyway, New York. So the New York Mount Rushmore, you got to give Notorious B.I.G. his spot off the top. Then you got to give Jay his spot off the top. Then you got to give Nas his spot off the top. And then I'm going to give Rakim his spot off the top. Now, you talk about my Mount Rushmore. I'm going Nas. I'm going Jada. I'm going Fab. And it's crazy because it's like not enough damn spots. But I'm going to also give Cam / Dipset that last spot. My favorite rapper when I was growing up was Joel Santana. I love Dipset. But it's crazy to not have Jay-Z. You feel me? So maybe I'll take somebody off and put Jay-Z because Jay is also the guy. But New York, y'all just got so much, bro. Because I didn't even mention. It's a lot of people I didn't name. We still haven't mentioned Styles P. We mentioned nobody from Wu-Tang, Mace. Like y'all got it. Y'all got it, bro.
You know who you didn't mention either? Who might have had the greatest peak in hip hop history?
Who?
50 Cent.
Yep. There you go. That's how much y'all got. And I was like, who? Like, who did I? Hey, yeah, 50
I mean,
Cent.
look, he does weird stuff when it comes to like the trolling and all of that, whatever. Like he's kind of been mean to some of my friends, you know. But
has he?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He's a mean guy. But I mean, you can't take away like his peak.
You cannot. Hey, man, I love 50 Cent,
bro.
I love 50.
I mean, Get Rich or Die Trying is one of the greatest hip hop albums ever. You can't deny it.
The one thing I say about 50 can't be mean, he can't be aggressive, but he is that all the time. You know, there's certain people who are bullies. They only do it to certain people. The one thing you have to say about 50 does it to any and every. He never picks and choose. All the stories about the street people that he had issues with that people don't even know because they really in the street. He had that issue. He came into the music business. He had people that he had issues with, Murder Inc. and all them. He kept that energy. The Game, who was in G Unit, they had his issue. He kept the energy there. He had an issue. Fat Joe, everybody, Jada Kiss, the lot. He kept his 50. Jay-Z.
Yeah.
He kept that energy with everybody, and I know you say.
I was having this conversation. Like, I'm not a fan of the people that just bully who they feel they could bully. And because like when I go to the gym, even now, and I'm older now, like if I'm going to talk, I'm going to talk to who I think is like the best player on the court, probably. Like
Absolutely.
That's probably who I'm going to talk to.
Yeah.
I just did it the other day. Like I'm probably not going to talk to the worst player on the court, even if he says something to me. You know what I mean?
Well, you different than me. If you say something to me,
That's a fact.
We go on.
You know what? That's fair. Especially if it's crazy.
If it's crazy. If you just talk and they take, some people talk because that's the only way they can be a factor. They're gonna drain you of your energy, get in your head. So some stuff you do gotta ignore. But if we on the court and I just scored the last 5 buckets and now you talking like, now it's like, come on, man, really? But yeah, 50 keeps that energy with everybody, regardless of how anybody feels. You do have to kind of respect that because especially in the music industry. You see people pick and choose who they want to, be tough with. So that's my.
And these hip hop podcasters too. They'll pick and choose who they want to be tough with. Trust me.
Yes. I'm not too familiar with the.
I don't want to get into names, but there's just guys that like, even if you could see their trajectory, right? When somebody's the little bro and the other person's the big bro, right? They'll have a lot of respect. Then they pass them. Then they're talking down on them. Like,
oh, okay, I know what you're saying. I know exactly what you're saying.
So keep that energy when you were not as big. Like that's what I like to see. Like the whole time, not when you surpass them. Now you're talking crazy to them.
But I'm gonna say this, and I'm not gonna say the names, but I'm connecting dots in my mind based off because I know you. What we also have to remember is the industry, though. That is the music industry. So like it is crazy and it's baffling, but it's never surprising. And the person that you have a relationship with, or some of the people that you're hinting at the relationship with, who this stuff happened with, they really know. I know it's crazy. I'm not making an excuse for it, but some of your peoples, they know, they've been around the game for longer than I've been alive. They know that's how the music industry is. The best thing that I found out about music and sports industry is like we all using each other. But it's like if we're gonna use each other, I'm rocking with the people who it's a good use. There's 2 type of users or users.
Reciprocation.
Boom. And so I'm on Combo show, but I know anytime I need Combo, we pull up on each other in real life. You call me in real life, so that's a different. So if Combo need me, Combo can use my platform or whatever I have in my toolage anytime he need because it's a genuine thing. And once you get hip to it. it's easy to, you know what I mean? So I'll come across people that they want to use this, they want to use me for certain things, but we don't have that type of relationship. So, or now I come back to the table and understand what I'm gonna get out of it because we don't rock like that. So if you want to use me, I got to use you. We got to write me a check. But I'm gonna never be like, man, combo, I ain't got time. If you pay me, I'll show up. No, because you know what I mean. But that's why you gotta know.
What are your thoughts on asking for favors in general? Like, do you ask?
That's a good question. That is a great question. I'll tell you this. This is a great question, Combo. This is good. This is good podcasting. My thought process on favors, asking favors. I'm not big on it for me, but I don't judge anybody that is different. Everybody's going to get in a time where they need a favor. I just think for me, it depends on the person. So I'll give you an example. In the podcasting industry, there's not too many people who I have as good of a relationship with than you. So I'm going to be more comfortable asking you a favor before I ask like Manny, who I know through you. Manny is cool. It ain't no disrespect to Manny, but like I would just rather do it on my own because our relationship ain't that. You know what I mean? I don't feel comfortable. It's my own thing. Even if he would say, yeah, I don't feel comfortable because we haven't had that much of a history for me to feel comfortable. It's the same thing with like family thing. It's certain family members that if I really needed something, I would ask. And there's certain family members that I love, but I wouldn't ask them because we don't have that connection. Mm-hmm. So sometimes people ask me for favors and I kind of be like, damn, like I wouldn't have asked me if I was you because we ain't really like that. You get what I'm saying? Like it's hard for me to explain. I'm not against favors though. It just depends on who you asking. Like I don't really ask favors I ask my mom, I'm gonna ask my girl, and then I'm gonna ask like my siblings and like my really, really good friends who are like siblings. But I wouldn't randomly call a cousin who I don't call or speak to on a regular and be like, hey, can you watch my dog? Like that, no, I wouldn't do that. I personally, but you have people who do that. I've had people that ask me for favors who I do not talk to on a regular basis. They probably don't even know my birthday, and will be like, "Hey, could you?" And I be like,
"Hey, put me on ESPN, Pierre." Hey,
that happened more than you know. I'll go and get a haircut at my uncle's barbershop, and somebody's talking about had him on a podcast, and I'm just like,
no, bro. Like, can I come? Can I come on Combo's Court? Is like the question I always get. Like, what are we going to talk about?
You got to have boundaries, man, because people will try you. People will try. I've just learned to.
So my thing with favors is if I ask one, I hope it benefits the person I'm asking for even more than me. That's when I like to ask a favor. I think it could benefit both of us and hopefully even you more than me.
That's a great perspective to have. But you have to know 95% of the people ain't thinking like that. I am on the other side of thinking when somebody.
And I'm not saying that's always the case with me. I'm just saying that's what I hope to be the case.
Would you hope? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The reality and hope is, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm now, with that being said, I am a believer that when somebody's hitting me up for a favor, that most of the time it's to 1,000% benefit them.
And they don't think like, why would he do this in their head? Like, yeah, I mean, P's a good guy, but like, I mean, why don't if we're taking the time out to do something, why can't we mutually be benefit from it? You know?
Yeah. That's the other part too. A lot of it gets murky.
Here's a good thing. I think of an idea that me and P could build upon. Like,
what's a favor to you? Let's take that layer back. What's a favor to you? What's your definition of a favor? If your son said, "Dad, what's a favor?"
Okay. I'm about to say there's no favors in my son. That's just
absolutely. But if he asked you, if he went to school, or if he just heard you upstairs having this conversation with me, and he said, "Dad, what's a favor?" How would you define it to him?
Somebody doing something goodwilled for somebody else. How about that? What do you think?
I think it's a great definition. I think you said it better than I could have imagined. Yeah. But I think what a lot of people think a favor is
put me on.
Boom. Put me on. Give me, do something for me that's going to help me drastically because I didn't really want to do some shit for myself.
Yeah,
And I don't want to build my platform up, even though I know that's what you had to do. You had to start your YouTube channel from zero. You had to go and buy the podcast equipment for yourself. You had to research and Google and figure out what equipment you needed. I don't want to do that. So you do all of that for me so that I can have it easier is what I think a lot of people think a favor is. Hey, I don't want to go to work this week. I wanted to do other shit. So could you give me $1,000 so I could pay my bills that I knew I had, but I didn't want to do what I needed to do to take care of those responsibilities. I think from what my experiences are, that's what people think favors are. Put me on, help me out.
The crazy thing is it's a waste of both of your time. Because if you're not willing to do all that, even once you've done the favor for them, they're not going to put it
They're
on.
They're going to fall flat on their face.
Yeah, they're not going to do the work anyway, even if you did them a favor. So you're only wasting your time and their time.
Not as much no more, but I used to get a lot of people to hit me up about starting a podcast or starting a YouTube channel.
Still to this day with me.
And I would let them know out of the get-go, you already behind the 8-ball. I already don't even really want to engage in this conversation. And I'm not saying it, I wouldn't say it this way to them, but that was my mind as reading it. Because anybody who is serious about doing something, when they have a question for somebody that's in the field, they're not wasting a question on that stupid shit. If you really was serious about getting it to YouTube, you wouldn't have to ask me what fucking camera to get, because you would have researched this so much on your own that you would already knew that. You can Google what the best camera is. What type of camera should I get for vlogging? That's how I found out. When I would say I'm gonna get into YouTube, I would Google best camera for YouTube videos. Then I went to YouTube itself and typed in best cameras for YouTube videos, and I found out everything. Microphone. I went through several microphones before I did my research and said, okay, what is the best microphone for this type of content? And now when I get into a conversation with somebody that's been in a business for 15, 20 years, I'm not wasting my question on what fucking equipment to get, because that's out there on the internet. I'm going to ask them something that I can't just Google. You know what I mean? You can't really Google advice from somebody that's been in the game. If I get a chance to sit down with Peyton Manning, who has been making a production company, I'm going to ask him something I can't find on Google. If I get a chance to sit down with Stephen A. Smith and I get to pick his brain for 3 minutes real short, I'm not asking him, hey, Stephen A., what type of microphones y'all use on First Take? No, I'm going to,
What would you ask Stephen A.? That's actually a good question.
What would I ask Stephen A.? I don't know what I would ask Stephen A.
It's crazy because you're both on ESPN, right? But you do totally. It's so far different.
Yeah.
And neither is bad. And I used to like I don't know if you felt this. It used to, before I was doing like a lot of podcasting, some of the stuff that Stephen A. did was kind of frustrating. But now I realize like he's doing what he's supposed to do.
Yes. Yes.
He's doing his job. Like this is generating eyeballs. And he's an entertainer. He's not supposed to be like the guy who's always right or the in-depth analysis on the trade machine. Like, you're going to react to what he's doing,
I think you have to get in the business to kind of understand. I used to be frustrated with a lot of stuff on ESPN and analysts and different things. But, yeah, once you get into the business yourself and you understand that there's a job to be done, you start to give people some grace and be a little bit more understanding. Now, is that what I'm ever going to do? No, because I put basketball before everything. I'm not an entertainer. I entertain within my job, but people recognize my name and face because of the basketball analysis that I gave. Now, on top of that, I could be entertaining here and there, but for the most part, so basically what I'm saying is every time you see me, you can count on high quality basketball analysis. You might not get entertainment every time you see me. I can't guarantee that. Some of my stuff is, straight to the point, serious.
You're getting too philosophical, too wise in your older years, P. Too wise and philosophical.
Because the new generation take everything so serious. You have to be. They don't understand the difference between a joke. They don't understand shit talking. They don't. You know what I mean? Like, even when I try to shit talk and everything, or I see people shit talking, they go way too far. I'd be like, bro. Like,
and they won't keep that energy in person. That's the crazy.
That's why I'm saying I go way too far. I've seen fans of the show, 2 fans who are fans of our show. They're replying under something I said, and they saying the most craziest things to each other, and I got to interject, and I'm like, y'all, it is not that serious, y'all. Please stop talking to each other like this, because this is uncalled for. How y'all get from Jalen Brunson versus Cade to now?
That's the one that they went crazy on. It's crazy you say that.
I'd be like, man, y'all got to chill. Like, if y'all talking shit to each other, talk y'all shit. But now y'all getting a little too crazy. Like, we all here talking basketball. I've done that a few times. I'm like,
you're better than
chill.
me, bro. Because like that, I'm not taking my time. I'm like, yo, you guys are crazy, and I'm not even getting involved in this.
Yeah, they can get crazy, but if it's some familiar names that I've seen and I know, I'm like, come on, bro, y'all don't do that, because our people be locked in. Our people do stuff like we'll have a show. We've seen fans from our show carpool. They've never met each other before. They just see each other on Twitter. Hey man, I'm going to the show in New York, but we both live in the Connecticut area. Man, you could ride with me if you want. I've seen stand-up shit like that before. So it's like, you can make more friends than enemies. You should be making friends in the community. Don't use our community to be in here making enemies over basketball talk.
Yeah. Well, ended here. I was actually at an event, a playback event, and one of the guys who run playback was telling me there's nobody, maybe outside of player-generated content, that has a stronger fan base than you guys. That's what he told me.
Oh. I would agree with him. I appreciate that.
And it was and I agree with him. And that was the case like 5 years ago already. That's the crazy thing.
Yeah. I think.
Why do you think that is? What's the key? How does that happen? That's a good question to finish off.
How does that happen? Well, first and foremost, Kenny already had a YouTube channel, and his fans were already big Kenny supporters. A lot of things that people don't understand, though. One of the things that people try to shit talk with me, when I piss somebody off, this is what they'll say. They'll say, they'll try to figure out a way to say that I'm where I'm at because of Kenny or the pot, you know what I mean, whatever. And
you get that a lot.
Only when somebody is mad at me. If I'm going back and forth with somebody and we talking shit to each other and I get them, and that's the last resort that they're gonna have, they'll throw that there. And two things to that. Number one, it's a bad thing to say because Kenny is actually my cousin. You're never going to create a way for me to be jealous of my cousin. If that's how you view it, then hey, cool. I ain't tripping. If you think if my cousin put me on, fuck it. Like, well, let's get it. I'm on. However you want to slice and dice. This ain't gonna make me feel in a way. My ego is. I have an ego, but it's not to the level to self-destruct because you want to give credit falsely to somebody else, and that somebody else is my cousin. Now, if you picked a fucking stranger and was like, he the reason this stranger, I would probably be like, yeah, you out of your fucking mind. But cool. The second thing is the reality. And what the reality is, Combo, is when we started the podcast, I think we kind of thought that. I think we thought that the people who like Kenny was going to automatically be fans of our show. But the reality was that was not the case, and it's still not the case. We have to create our own fan base. For a long time, Kenny's numbers, and it may still be to this day on his own YouTube videos, do not look like our videos.
Right.
Because his people want to see him. They don't give a fuck about what I got to say, what Mike got to say, and what Derek got to say. It's the same thing with the people that I've carved out. I got like 65K on like YouTube. There's a bunch of people who run to those videos when I drop on my YouTube channel because they just want to hear what I'm speaking on in depthly. They can watch the pod, but I'm speaking with 3 other people. And they're like, oh, man, I wanted to hear just your thoughts. Or I wanted to hear you speak on this in depthly. So we were able to carve out the fan base that we have, number one, by being ourselves. Everybody was themselves. Nobody tried to be anything they weren't. And I think it kind of made a nice variety of a melting pot. Mike is very laid back. Kenny is laid back, but not as laid back as Mike. And he's super informative. Derek has like a comedic type of perspective where he don't hold back. But
also like the least ill-willed person you probably ever like talk to. Like
which is what people love. Yeah, people love that about him. And then like, you got me, the one who could be fiery and like unapologetic about what I'm saying. And I think that fiery matches real good with some of the laid backness from like a Mike and a KB. And then even a couple times Derek would turn up a little bit.
Also,
on certain
I feel
topics.
like maybe you could talk to the older generation a little bit
different. Then you also have that.
Yeah.
And I think it all meshed together perfectly. And I think because like some of the things you said, Derek is like a guy who's kind of like, he's like a teddy bear, almost, so to speak, with a lot of people. And people love that energy. Mike is never afraid to make a fool of himself. You know what I'm saying? Like, He don't care. And then, you know, people love Kenny for his outside content that he stayed true to even when the podcast blew up. And then you have somebody like me who, for the years of us doing it, I've always gone the extra mile to communicate. And we all do that. Like, nobody is too big to reply to somebody from our community. And I think that one little thing, when you look at 8 years of doing that, I think is the game changer. Because when we first started, I called myself the king of fan interaction. That was like a hashtag I came up with. Because all of the people in the space of like the YouTube space, none of them really talk to anybody.
Well, you know what that is? That's a carryover from TV and like traditional, because you don't have to talk to anybody. You're just making, you know what I mean?
You just show up on TV.
Yeah. You got the new generation and what they're looking for, interaction, right?
So because I came into the game with nothing but the podcast, when the attention started to come, I still was a normal person. I'm a normal person even still. But you get what I'm saying? When we started the podcast, we was working and working. The followers was just boom, 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 boom. They kept gradually going up. Even to this day, they just go, go, go. And then you look up and I'm like, damn, I got like that many people. I remember when I had 2,000 followers. Now I'm at like almost 70 or 80. You know what I mean? So you look at that, and a lot of people, like you said, they go with the TV route, the traditional route, which is kind of to be standoffish. I took it and I was like, man, what's good? Who want to talk? Who want to communicate? I would go live every day when we first started. I would bring people in the lab. I would let them talk. I would go back and forth. I did a lot of my YouTube content was curated by them. I would let the fans ask a bunch of questions. I would answer them. They wanted podcast advice. They want this. I would reply to every DM. That was a point in time in my career when I only had about 10,000, 9,000 followers. And we was doing a podcast, and I would reply to every single DM. There was one Christmas I'll never forget. Anybody who said Merry Christmas to me, I said it back. And I think when you have that type of interaction, it goes such a long way. And then we started to form relationships. So then you see a person that's commenting on every single video. You see a person always interacting with your tweet. And now I show the love back. So I got a lot of people I follow, and a lot of them are fans. Because it's like, if you've been here for 3 years showing me love, let me follow you back and give you love. And then we all start going the extra mile. We did a lot of podcast appearances for some of our fans who started their own podcasts. I've been on people's YouTube channels. I have sent videos. I get a lot of DMs from our fans' girlfriends. A lot of girlfriends DM me saying the same thing, and it's mind-blowing that we have that big. But I get a lot of mom, dads, and girlfriends saying, it's my boyfriend, my son, or my brother's birthday. Could you send a video or give him a shout-out? And so then I started to be like, hey, happy birthday at the beginning of people's shows. Then that got overwhelming. I'm getting 50 people a day saying it's their birthday, and I'm like, I can't do that. Right, I can't. It's just too much. And so now, every once in a while, when I can see the messages, like it was one girl was messaged me. It was her boyfriend's birthday. She sent me like proof of him being a fan. So I'm like, damn, like I gotta do this one. But she sent it like 3 months in advance. I'm like, okay, it ain't no way I'm gonna remember this. There's no way I'm going to remember this. So a week before, reach out to me and like try to get me to be able to see it, because there's so many messages that come in every day. Like, especially when you have the Anna Silver interview, I got like 1,000, 1,500 messages. So it's like everybody's messages get pushed down. I lose track of your message.
Is it social, text, or all the above?
What you mean?
Is it text, social?
No. It's social. Social.
Got you.
And so I'm losing track. Like, I'm seeing my actual friends, actual people that I've known for 10 plus years. They was messaging me, and I didn't see it. Like even the dude I managed, Flex, he had said something, but I DM'd him about something separately, and then when he replied, I saw his message that I didn't even see. I didn't never reply to, because I'm like, oh damn, I got so many messages I didn't see. So anyway, I end up doing the happy birthday thing, but it was like she was one of the first people that told me like 2 months in advance, like, hey, it's January, but my boyfriend's birthday is in April. I'm like, there's no way I'm gonna be able to do it. But those little things, I think over 8 years, almost a decade, you do those little things, people remember it. You know what I mean? And I try my best to continue to do that as much as I can. You'll see somebody, like my favorite thing to do, I haven't done it in a very long time, but like I'll be using the bathroom. And that's my time to like reply. Anytime you see me going back and forth with a Twitter troll, so I'm probably on the toilet. If I'm being honest, I'm probably on the toilet. Like let me reply while I'm on the toilet. I used to go on Instagram, and I would go to one of my posts, and I have somebody leave a comment. You got all these people, random people leaving comments under your post, like fire emoji, you the GOAT, Pee Wee the GOAT, all these different things, right? And so then I would use the bathroom, and I would randomly just scroll and click a random person, go to their profile, follow them, like one of their pictures, and then comment like my boy, and then they will react and go crazy like, oh damn, Pee Wee just followed me. And so once you do shit like that, it just goes a long way, you know what I mean? And then when we do our live shows, we do the live show, and it's always a meet and greet, and we meet everybody, we sign everything, we take pictures. And so our live shows are probably 2 hours where we're doing the show. And then it's an additional 2 hours where we stand and talk to the people and take pictures and sign everything. And so the days we do live shows, Combo, they want us to get there like an hour before, right? Because you don't want nobody to be late, no chance to be late. Then we go on stage. So we'll probably get there at 5:30 or 6. The show starts at 7. We'll do the show from 7 to 8:30 or 9. And then we'll do meet and greet till like 11:30. And so you just look back and it's like, man, we just did 4 hours of talking, signing, taking pictures. And people remember that stuff for the rest of their lives. You'd be very surprised. When I started, I didn't know that doing that was going to go to this type of fan base. But then when you look back on it, people appreciate it. And I think every creator should do something like that, because you're really nothing without the people that make your platform a platform. So if you can like somebody's picture back, if you can follow back occasionally, if you can do a giveaway, we've done giveaways. Somebody who's watching your podcast for 4 years and they decide they want to make their own podcast, and they hit you up like, man, would you ever come on? It's like, yeah, fuck it, I'll come on. You supported me, so yeah, I'll come on your podcast for 25, 30 minutes real quick. And that shit mean the world to people, and they never forget it. So that's how. It's a long answer, but that's how.
Well, this pod was supposed to be 30 minutes, but here we are, an hour and 14
The
minutes.
best thing you said this whole podcast. What's your take on favors? I might ask that on my podcast. What's today? Today is Monday. Yeah, we got a podcast tomorrow. I might ask that. We do something at the end of our show called Unplug, where I kind of bring something
Well,
non-basketball.
send me the segment so I can share it. Send me that segment so I can share it.
I'm gonna try to remember. I got you though.
Yeah.
What I'm about to go ask my girl. What's her thought on? I already know her answer. Her answer like, hell no, I ain't with favors.
P, great stuff. Where can we find you for those who don't know?
You can find me everywhere in the world at Pee Wee the Plug. It should be only one Pee Wee the Plug. You can find me every Thursday. I got my own show teed up. Combo should be on there soon. Once we wrap up the playoffs, we'll start having a lot of guests. I already got like a little. Hey, the summer combo off season teed up gonna be lit, because I got so many relationships. I already know I'm gonna have you on there, Corey Tulliba from No Ceilings, my boy Jacob from League Him. Like when I started the show, I was like,
those are my guys right there too.
I know those your guys. Yeah. So I'm like, hey, when the off season hits, I was telling my producer, like, don't worry. I got my guys who I know exactly is gonna be on the show. Boom, boom, boom. We gonna get it in.
Bro, I'm excited to be on a show with Pierre where I don't really have to I don't have to prepare for. I'm just talking my talk.
Exactly.
Yo, that shit is dope. Like, I love being guest on shows because I host so many. I can
just arrive.
Yeah, you can just talk your talk. I love that.
Yeah. We off season teed up. They think teed up is lit right now. You know what I mean? We had the NBA guests, Ty Jerome's and Gordon Hayward's. My pops showed up. That was all phenomenal, outstanding. But they really, I don't think they understand how. Like my producer Christian, he don't know about Friday Night Lights.
A word.
So when you come on there and he gonna walk away like, man, that was such a great combo. He was a great guest. I'm gonna be like, man, you ain't got no idea. You ain't got no idea.
Well,
I'm telling you,
we've done so many of these. It's
so
crazy.
many,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
many.
Yeah. It's crazy.
I can't wait, man. I can't
Yeah,
wait.
let's do, yeah, I'm looking forward to it, bro. Just let me know when. Yeah.
I got you. Don't worry.
Talk soon, bro. Appreciate you.
Always.